She asked me where the peanut butter was. That's how it started. Not a fight, not a betrayal, not some movie scene scream fest with shattered wine glasses. Just a Wednesday morning, her hair still damp from the shower, casually asking where I put the peanut butter while scrolling through her phone like I didn't exist. And I realized I didn't. Not to her. I was just the guy who bought the groceries, the guy who refilled the toilet paper, the guy who folded her laundry the way she liked it. Because apparently towels have a correct and incorrect way of being folded. Now, you'd think the breaking point would be something dramatic. Cheating, a screaming match, a slap. But no, my breaking point was a jar of peanut butter and her not even glancing up to say thank you when I handed it to her. I stood there still holding the spoon and something in me just said, "You're done begging to be noticed." That night, while she was asleep, her back turned toward me like always. I sat at the kitchen table with a piece of paper and wrote nothing. Literally, I just sat there, pen in hand, and realized she wouldn't even care if there was a note. So, I didn't leave one. I left in silence. No slam of the door, no passive-aggressive post-it on the fridge. Just my house key on the table next to the unopened jar of almond butter she bought for variety and never touched. It's been 63 days. She's called 27 times, texted 51, emailed twice, which is hilarious because she never checks her email unless it's a sale. The last message? "I didn't realize you were this petty. Come home. We need to talk." That's the thing. Now she wants to talk now that I'm gone. Now that the dishes don't magically do themselves. Now that her Spotify playlist doesn't get updated every Monday morning. Now that no one's in the passenger seat to quietly agree with her rants about her coworkers. But I'm not coming back. And what she doesn't know, this silence she's choking on, it's only just begun. I didn't expect her to fall apart. Honestly, I expected her to replace me overnight. Some emotionally deep yoga guy, a therapist with perfect teeth. Maybe even Everett, the scarfed soul mentor she swore was just spiritual support. I figured within 2 weeks, someone would be sleeping on my side of the bed and rearranging the spice rack I once alphabetized out of quiet desperation. But that's not what happened. Instead, she cracked. At first, she pretended. The photos started appearing online. Her smiling two-hearted brunch. Captions like, "Reclaiming joy and healing is messy but beautiful." It was all performative. I know that smile. It's the same one she used to wear when her mom visited. The one that said, "Please believe this version of me. I don't even like it either." I didn't respond to anything. Not the messages, not the missed calls, not even the PayPal request she sent me for half the broken French press I'd taken in the bag. I just watched from a distance. Quiet. Not out of revenge, but curiosity. I needed to know how long it would take before the mask slipped. Turns out, not long. One night I was walking back from a 24-hour laundromat, hoodie up, headphones in, trying to pretend I belonged to a life that didn't ache. I passed the old grocery store near our apartment. My feet just took me there without thinking. And through the sliding glass doors, I saw her. Marina, standing still in the condiment aisle. She wasn't dressed up, no makeup, hair tied with one of those elastic things she used to steal from my drawer. She looked lost, like she'd walked in there to buy something but forgot what. Like her body made the trip, but her soul stayed home to scream into a pillow. I ducked behind a newspaper rack, not because I was scared, but because I wanted the truth without her performing for it. And the truth was, she looked hollow, empty. A woman waiting for someone to show up and explain why the walls suddenly echo when she laughs. I walked away, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like a ghost. I felt real. I never told anyone where I went after I left, not even my sister Mabel. She lives 3 states away and has a habit of oversharing out of love. I just told her I needed space, that I was okay, and that if anyone asked, she hadn't heard from me in weeks. And she respected that, at least until Marina showed up on her doorstep. I found out because Mabel called me in a panic 2 nights ago. Her voice was trembling, and she whispered like she was harboring a fugitive. "She's here, Ellery. She just showed up crying. She's sitting on my porch swing with raccoon eyes and no shoes. And I think she's been driving for hours." I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. She said she found an old Christmas card I sent you. Mabel continued. She figured out where I live from the return address. "I'm so sorry. I didn't think." I could hear Marina in the background softly begging, "Just let me talk to him, please. I just need to explain." Explain what? That I was convenient until I became invisible? That her newfound emotional clarity didn't kick in until my toothbrush stopped fogging up the mirror? I asked Mabel not to tell her anything, not even the state I was in. "She needs closure," Mabel said gently. "Maybe you do too. But I don't want closure. I want peace. I want the kind of quiet that isn't waiting for the next jab or sarcastic dig. I want to go to bed and not flinch when I hear someone unlocking the door, wondering if they're bringing in groceries or excuses." Still, part of me cracked hearing she'd driven through the night, that she was barefoot, that she cried, that she wanted me. Too late. You don't get to step over someone for years and then suddenly cry because the doormat moved. She stayed at my sister's for 2 nights. Mabel didn't let her inside. She gave her tea and a blanket and made her sleep on the porch sofa. On the second morning, Marina scribbled a note and left it wedged in the screen door. Mabel sent me a photo of it. All it said was, "You didn't even give me a chance to be sorry." But that's the thing. She had years of chances. Silence was the only language left. I told myself I wouldn't look, that I wouldn't check her social media, that blocking her meant I was done. But healing isn't linear. Some days you feel like a survivor. Some days you feel like a wound with legs. And that night, I was weak. I made a burner account, typed in her name, and there it was. A new post from Marina, time-stamped just hours earlier. The thumbnail was her face, eyes puffy, makeup untouched. She had gone live. It was over 6 minutes long. I watched all of it. At first, it was the same performance she always gave when things spiraled out of her control. The fragile voice, the soft sighs, the helpless glances off camera. But there was something different this time. It was like she wasn't talking to her followers or even to me. She was talking to her own reflection. Her exact words. "I think I broke something I didn't know was keeping me alive." She paused, breathed through her nose, and added, "You don't realize you've stopped looking someone in the eye until they're gone. You don't realize how much silence weighs until it's yours." I sat there, jaw locked, unsure if I felt vindicated or sick. She continued, "He was soft, too soft." And I mistook that for weakness. But now I get it. Soft people vanish differently. They don't scream, they don't slam doors. They erase themselves. And I let him. I should have stopped there, but I didn't. She reached for something off screen, then held up a photo. I couldn't see it clearly, but I knew that frame. It was the one I left on the bookshelf. It held the only picture of us that didn't feel posed. The one where we were on the ferry in Charleston, and her head was buried in my hoodie, mid-laugh. She said, "If you see this, I don't deserve you back. I just hope you exist somewhere happy, somewhere warm. I just hope you didn't disappear completely. And for a moment, I hated her a little less. But I still didn't forgive her, because it's easy to cry when you're alone, easy to confess when you've already caused the damage. But I lived inside the silence she gave me for years. She's just starting to hear it now. I hadn't checked my mailbox in weeks. Most days I didn't care if anything came, and the rest of the time I convinced myself that no one important even had my new address. It was a studio apartment with peeling paint, mismatched floorboards, and a radiator that wheezed like it hated being alive. But it was mine, and I didn't owe anyone the address. So when I opened the mailbox and saw the plain cardboard package, no name, no return address, just my initials and black marker, my chest tightened. Inside, there was no letter, no apology, no dramatic plate, just 3 items: a photograph, a dried-out lavender sprig, and a flash drive. The photo was old, our second anniversary, taken by a stranger at a train station while we were lost and laughing. It wasn't even framed. The edges were worn like she'd been holding it too often, like it lived more in her hands than in her home. The lavender was from our backyard, the one I planted for her because she said it reminded her of her childhood summers. She hated bugs, but she'd still sit by it for hours just breathing. I hadn't seen that bush in years. She must have gone back there just to pick that, and then the flash drive. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't want to plug it in. I didn't want to give her another platform, another stage to perform her sadness. But curiosity is cruel when you've been invisible too long. It was a voice recording, not a speech, just ambient noise at first. Then her voice, quiet, cracked, unedited. "I'm not asking you to come back," she whispered. "I just need you to know that the silence you left me in hurts more than any words you could have screamed. And I know I earned it. I know I did. I treated your patience like furniture. Always there, never questioned. I thought the absence of drama meant the absence of problems. I was wrong." There was a long pause. Then just this. "I hear you now. And I miss the way you never made me feel small." It ended there. No music, no apology, just static and silence. I didn't cry. Not then. But I didn't delete it either. I just sat there holding the flash drive in one hand and the lavender in the other, wondering how long someone can live with regret before it swallows them whole, and whether I was finally free of mine. I never intended to see anyone from the old life again. That version of me, the agreeable shadow, the silent husband, belonged to a different city, a different heartbeat. But life has this cruel sense of timing. Sometimes closure doesn't come gift-wrapped. Sometimes it shows up while you're ordering a sad cup of gas station coffee at 11:30 p.m. I heard the voice before I saw the face. Ellery. It was Cambria, Marina's best friend, the one who used to call me loyal to a fault behind my back and smiled in my face like I wouldn't hear about it later. She looked startled, not like she'd seen a ghost, more like she'd seen a decision she once supported coming back to haunt her. I nodded, tried to walk past, but she stopped me. "Wait, you just disappeared. Everyone thought you were in rehab or something." "Rehab?" That's how far they'd gone to explain my silence. I almost laughed. She lowered her voice. "Listen, she's a mess. Marina, I didn't think she'd break like this. I told her she was being reckless, but she didn't listen." My throat went dry. Reckless, how? Cambria blinked. You know that look someone gives when they've said too much and can't put it back? That she told you about the thing with Everett, right? I stared at her. She backtracked. I mean, not Everett specifically, just that she needed clarity. She was confused. She didn't cheat. Exactly. It was more emotional. She told you she didn't cheat. Cambria's mouth opened, closed, then settled into guilt. And just like that, her entire apology, every voicemail, every message, every carefully worded Instagram confession crumbled. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't insecure. I was just right. She had lied. Not once, not in panic, but repeatedly with purpose. She made me feel paranoid to cover her own shame. She fed me silence while building something with someone else behind my back, and still had the nerve to say, "You didn't give me a chance to be sorry." It wasn't the betrayal that stung the most. It was the fact that even her guilt was edited, curated, cropped at the edges. Cambria, realizing what she'd done, whispered, "I didn't mean to drop that on you." But it didn't feel like a drop. It felt like a key, and now that I held it, I wasn't sure whether to lock the past up for good or finally open the door to the truth she never wanted me to see. I broke the silence. I didn't plan to. I stared at my phone for an hour, typing, deleting, typing again. The words weren't meant to heal or provoke. They were just a simple, direct sentence I needed her to read. "You lied to me about Everett. I know." I turned the phone off after I hit send, tossed it across the bed like it burned me. I wasn't expecting closure. I wasn't even expecting a reply. But 30 minutes later, my screen lit up like a fire alarm. 3 missed calls, 5 messages, and then 1 voice memo. I didn't listen to it right away. I made dinner. I swept the floor. I even wiped down the already clean kitchen counters twice. Anything to delay hearing what I already suspected. Eventually, I hit play. Her voice was flat, not weepy, not guilty, just defensive, like I was the one who had opened a wound she thought she'd buried. "You left. You gave up. And now you're digging through the past like it'll fix what you broke." "What I broke," she continued. "Yes, things got blurry with Everett, but it wasn't physical. I needed someone to talk to because you were always retreating into yourself. You never fought for us, Ellery. You folded every time." I paused the message there. I couldn't listen to the rest. She still didn't get it. Folding wasn't weakness, it was survival. I didn't raise my voice because I was too busy wondering how to keep us from collapsing. I didn't fight back because I thought loving someone meant giving them space, even when they're using it to build a life without you in it. But the most brutal part wasn't her voice. It was the final message she sent after the voice memo. It said, "You think disappearing makes you noble? All it did was prove you never had a spine to begin with." That's when I realized she never missed me. She missed control. Missed the comfort of knowing I'd always be there, quietly absorbing the damage. I wasn't a person to her. I was a function, a routine, a fallback plan. With a soft voice and tired eyes, I stared at that message for a long time. Then I blocked her again for the last time. Not out of spite, but out of mercy from me. Because the truth, her regret was never about losing me. It was about losing the version of me that let her get away with everything. I didn't reply to her again. I didn't unblock her. I didn't listen to the second half of that voice memo. I didn't need to. I already knew how it ended. Another twist of guilt. Another attempt to drag me back into the silence she filled with half-truths and hollow remorse. Instead, I went outside. It's funny how something as ordinary as sunlight can feel unfamiliar after living so long in emotional shadows. I walked without headphones, without my phone. just walked. A small bookstore caught my eye, the kind I would have ignored before. Always rushing, always retreating. But this time I stepped in. I met someone there. Not in a fairy tale way, not love at first sight. Just a soft hello, a shared smile over a badly stacked poetry section, and a conversation about how certain books feel like they know you better than your friends do. Her name was June. She didn't ask me where I'd been. She didn't try to fix me. She just laughed with her whole face, and for the first time in what felt like years, I laughed back. I don't know where it's going, but I know what's behind me, and I'm not walking backward anymore. Healing doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with closure or permission or a final apology. Sometimes it starts with walking away and never looking over your shoulder, even when the past screams your name. I was a ghost for years in my own home. Now I'm alive. I speak. I choose. I exist outside of her version of me, and I think that's enough. Thanks for listening. And now I'll ask you, what moment in history do you think changed someone's life forever without them even knowing it at the time? Comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You're watching Reddit Confessions, where every story has a voice, even the quiet ones.